I've noticed we're losing subscribers. Not the YouTube kind, but the kind that swore they'd be in my life forever. Funny how that works. One day you're surrounded by people who claim to love you, and the next, you're watching them walk away like you were just another phase in their lives. By the way, if you're here, do me a favor, subscribe. It's free, and unlike some people in my life, you won't regret sticking around. Story 1. From the moment we were born, my twin brother and I were destined for completely different lives. Or at least that's what our parents decided. He was their golden boy, their prodigy, the one they were convinced would change the world. And me? I was just the extra. The disappointment. The black sheep. Growing up, I watched my brother get everything. Elaborate birthday parties, gifts, sleepovers with his friends. Meanwhile, I was an afterthought, barely acknowledged, never allowed to bring friends home. The only person in my family who ever showed me love was my grandmother. She'd sneak me chocolates, slip me a few bucks, and remind me that I mattered. But even her kindness couldn't protect me from the cruelty of my own parents. As the years passed, their favoritism turned into something worse. No matter how hard I tried, I was never good enough. I excelled at athletics, was even one of the best at school, but my parents forbade me from participating. They wanted me to be more like my brother, a studious, obedient little genius. I wasn't allowed to have hobbies, passions, or even basic privacy. When they caught me using Snapchat like every other normal teenager, they lost it. They stormed into my room, trashed my belongings, ripped the doors off the hinges, and told me that as long as I lived under their roof, I didn't deserve privacy. But the worst part? My twin brother watched it all happen, and instead of standing up for me, he made it worse. He realized early on that he could manipulate our parents however he wanted. He started lying about me, blaming me for things I never did. If he stole something, he'd pin it on me, and of course they believed him without question. If he got in trouble at school, it was somehow my fault. He insulted me, humiliated me in front of my classmates, and made it his mission to destroy whatever happiness I could find outside of our home. But karma caught up to him, at least for a moment. On our 14th birthday, not a single one of his friends showed up to his party. Meanwhile, my friends surprised me with ice cream and made sure I had an amazing day. He was furious. I could see it in his eyes. And that's when he decided he needed revenge. He started spreading rumors about me, horrible, twisted lies. He told people at school that I was a spoiled brat, that I was violent. And then, to make them believe it, he began hurting himself. He'd punch his own face, bruise his own shoulder, then march into school the next day showing off his injuries, claiming I had attacked him. And people believed him. At first, I didn't notice it. The little changes. Friends pulling away. Fewer invitations to hang out. The whispered conversations that stopped when I entered the room. Then one day, I finally confronted my best friend. Well, my ex-best friend. She looked me dead in the eyes and told me everything. My brother had turned everyone against me. And I had no idea how much worse it was about to get. Betrayal is a cold knife, but when it comes from your own twin, it's a dagger straight through the heart. The realization hit me like the ground crumbling beneath my feet. My own brother, the person I had shared my entire life with, was poisoning everything I had left. The lies, the rumors, the way he twisted the truth to paint me as some kind of monster. I confronted him at school, my voice shaking with disbelief, but he only smirked and muttered words that chilled me to the bone. You deserve to die alone. I should have told my parents. I should have begged them to listen. But I already knew the truth. They would believe him over me just like they always did. And when the rumors spread beyond our classmates, reaching teachers and eventually the principal, my nightmare became reality. We were called into the principal's office. My brother sat there beside me, my parents by his side, as if we were two sides of the same story. But we weren't. One of us was lying. I thought, this is it, he has to tell the truth now. He has to stop. But he didn't. Instead, he doubled down. He spun an elaborate story about how I bullied him, how I lashed out in jealous rages when I wasn't the center of attention. He even painted himself as a helpless victim, shaking as he recounted fake stories of me attacking him behind closed doors. And my parents believed every single word. My mother burst into tears, holding him like he was a wounded hero. My father comforted him, praising him for being so brave to speak up. Meanwhile, I sat there, my breath caught in my throat, watching the scene unfold like I was trapped in some twisted nightmare. I pleaded with the principal. I begged him to listen, to see through the lies, but he only shook his head. The school does not tolerate bullying, he said. These are serious accusations. And just like that, I was suspended for 10 days. I cried, I sobbed, I swore on everything I had that I was innocent. But none of it mattered. My parents dragged me out of school, their faces red with embarrassment, their eyes full of shame. Not shame for what they were doing to me, but for the daughter they believed was a violent disgrace. But the real horror awaited me at home. Without a word, my father stormed into my room and started throwing my things into a bag. My mother watched in stunned silence as he packed my belongings with cold determination. What are you doing? I choked out, frozen in disbelief. I won't let a bully live in my house, my father said. I collapsed onto my knees, clutching at his legs, tears pouring down my face. Please? I didn't do anything. You're making a mistake. But he didn't care. None of them did. My brother stood there, watching, emotionless, unmoved, as if he had just won the final round of a game I didn't even know we were playing. Then my father said the words that shattered me completely. If your grandmother wants you, she can have you. But you're not my daughter anymore. And just like that, I was homeless. I stood in the foyer, my belongings scattered around me like the shattered remnants of my childhood. My father's words still echoed in my head. You're not my daughter anymore. I had begged, I had cried, but it didn't matter. They had made their decision. And my brother, the one person who should have had my back, stood by and watched in silence, his expression as cold as the air between us. Then my grandmother arrived. She took one look at the scene before her, at me, her granddaughter thrown out like garbage, and something inside her snapped. With a fierce determination I had never seen before, she stormed up to the front door and rang the doorbell. When my father answered, she didn't hesitate. How dare you do this to her? How dare you? She roared. She didn't let them speak. She didn't let them twist the story. She made it clear, if they ever tried to contact me again, if they ever so much as thought about interfering in my life, she would call CPS, the police, whoever it took, to make them pay for what they had done. My mother tried to play the victim, shifting the blame, but my grandmother wasn't having any of it. She's your child. And you threw her away like she was nothing. You disgust me. For the first time in my life, someone had fought for me. We drove away, leaving behind the house I had once called home. I barely spoke. I barely ate. I barely felt anything except the hollow, aching void inside me. My grandmother sat beside me, offering me quiet reassurances, telling me over and over again that this wasn't my fault. That I was worth more than the way they had treated me. And for the first time I believed it. A new life, a new me. When my suspension was over, I returned to school, but it wasn't the same. The damage had been done. The whispers followed me, the judgmental stares, the people who had once been my friends now too scared or unwilling to be seen with me. My brother had made sure of that. I became invisible. I kept my head down, attended my classes, ate lunch alone. My parents never called. They never checked in. It was like I had never existed to them. The only person who reminded me that I mattered was my grandmother. But I had one goal, escape. I worked hard, got good grades, and when the time came, I left for college. And finally, for the first time in my life, I felt what it meant to be free. No one was watching my every move, no one was comparing me to my brother, no one was trying to control my future. And despite everything, despite the years of pain and isolation, I found something I never expected. Myself. I made friends, real ones. I focused on building the life I had been denied. I found something I loved, writing, and though I had once given up on my dreams, I took a chance. I started freelancing, taking small jobs, slowly building my skills. By the time I graduated, I didn't need a corporate job. I had built a career on my own, on my terms. I traveled. I saw the world. I made a life for myself, a life that was mine and mine alone. Through it all, my grandmother was the only family I had. I visited her every chance I got, spent weekends with her, helped her around the house. She had been my rock when I had nothing, and I made sure she never felt alone. And then, just when I thought I had finally escaped my past, my parents came back, and they wanted something from me. When my phone lit up with 6 missed calls from my mother, I knew something was off. After years of silence, years of pretending I didn't exist, she suddenly wanted to talk. And when I finally called her back, the reason became clear. They had seen my TV interview. They had realized I was successful. And now they wanted something from me. At first, they pretended to care, showering me with fake congratulations. But it didn't take long for them to get to the real point. We're struggling financially and the house needs renovations. Since you're doing so well, we thought you could help us out. After all, we're family. I almost laughed at the irony. Family? The same people who abandoned me when I needed them the most? The same people who never once checked in on me? Now they had the audacity to ask for my help? I wasn't going to let them manipulate me again. So I made them an offer. I'll help you. But only if you admit, in front of our entire family, that my brother was the one who spread those lies about me. I wanted them to do to him what they had done to me, Strip away his reputation, make him face the truth, let everyone see him for what he really was. Of course they refused. My father insisted that I owed them. My mother tried to guilt-trip me, talking about all the years they spent raising me. But I reminded them that it wasn't them who raised me, it was my grandmother. The conversation ended with them furious, and me more certain than ever that I had made the right choice. The fallout. Not long after, my brother texted me. I admit I lied about you 15 years ago, but it's been a long time, so stop being so self-centered and move on. You're unmarried and childless, so why not help them out? Do the right thing and be a better daughter. His arrogance was staggering. He had no remorse, no regret. He actually thought he could shame me into giving them money. That was the final straw. I sat down and wrote an email to my parents and all our relatives. I detailed everything, how my brother had ruined my reputation, how my parents had abandoned me, how my grandmother had been my only source of love and support. And at the end, I attached the screenshot of my brother's confession. I hit send. What happens next? The fallout has been immediate. Relatives who once blindly believed my parents have started reaching out, shocked and apologetic. They had no idea what I had been through. My parents had painted a very different picture. One where I was the rebellious, ungrateful daughter. But now the truth is out. My father and brother have been bombarding me with furious messages, growing more aggressive with each one. So I contacted a lawyer. A cease and desist letter has been sent, warning them that if they continue to harass me, there will be legal consequences. That shut them up fast. But I know this isn't over yet. What will my parents do next? Will my brother retaliate? Or will they finally leave me alone for good? I'll update you soon. It's been 2 months since I last shared an update, and I'm happy to say that life is finally peaceful. Moving forward, my article writing business has flourished. Invitations to speak at seminars, podcasts, and industry events keep coming in, solidifying my status as an expert in my field. It still feels surreal sometimes. After everything I went through, I never imagined I'd reach this level of success. But the best part? I finally feel free. I recently took a 1-week sabbatical from work to spend time with my grandmother. She's been getting into gardening and she's taught me so much about the flowers and herbs in her yard. Some of my most cherished memories now are of sitting with her, sharing meals, having deep conversations, or just enjoying each other's company. She's the only family I need. My family's silence. Since my lawyer sent that cease and desist letter, my parents and brother have stayed away. No more manipulative calls, no more guilt-tripping texts, no more unwanted intrusions into my life. I don't regret my decision. They made their choices years ago and now I've made mine. Healing. For the first time, I've started therapy to work through everything I endured growing up. It's not easy, but it's helping me understand that I was never the problem. I was just a child who deserved love and fairness. The final word. This will likely be my last update. To everyone who supported me along the way, thank you. Your words of encouragement meant more than I can express. I've built a life I'm proud of, surrounded by people who truly care about me. And most importantly, I finally left the past where it belongs, behind me. Your past does not define your future. No matter how much pain or betrayal you've experienced, you have the power to reclaim your life, set boundaries, and build a future filled with peace, success, and genuine love. Sometimes, walking away from toxic family members is the only way to heal. And that's okay. You are not obligated to tolerate mistreatment just because of blood ties. Does this story resonate with you? If you've ever been in a similar situation, where you had to walk away from family, set firm boundaries, or fight for your own success, I'd love to hear from you. Share your story in the comments below. Like and share this post to help others who might be going through something similar. Follow for more stories and life lessons. Thank you for being part of my journey. Your support means the world to me.